All right, welcome back to Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast. What's going on, Travis?
Hey, Bill. How are you, man?
I'm good.
Good.
Baseball season for you, isn't it?
It is. We're getting into it, into the thick of it, right? You know, we're going to be playing on every Monday and Wednesday night this year.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, hey, it's the season, right?
Yeah,
it's soccer, it's baseball, and
you can start to feel summertime coming, right?
it'll be here.
Yes.
I can't wait. People normally complain about the heat here, but I would much rather have the heat than the cold weather.
I am with you. Prefer the summertime.
We did a podcast a while back about why businesses fail, and you and I were talking. One of the reasons they fail is maybe the agency owner or the employees, they do things they shouldn't do.
Right.
And so what should they walk away from?
Yeah, I think within that podcast, we talked a little bit about like they go after quote unquote bad business. And so, you know, one of the things we thought we could talk about was what does that look like? And at what point do you walk away or what are some of those key factors to identify that before you find yourself going down a path too far with an account that just it's not going to provide you the return you're looking for?
I try to say it a lot, is I think the owner, the person, the manager, the employee, doesn't matter who it is, really needs to look at what are they good at?
Yeah.
Where do they fit? Where's their box that works really well with them? It pays to do what you're good at.
Well, I think we've said it multiple times on here, right? You don't have to be everything to everybody. I mean, you know, and I think that's one of the traps we fall into as an industry. Everybody wants to help people. It's a big reason I talk to agents all the time. Why do you get into this business? Because they say they want to help people. But there comes a point in time to where you have to be able to realize, to your point, you're not as good at it. So by working on it, you're really not helping them the way you want to.
That's right. Well, you're hurting people at that point. So you really take in where you thought you were helping people, and now it's hurting you, maybe hurting them because you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
And so it's just not helpful at all.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think what we wanted to talk about today was, you know, there's some things that we talk about amongst ourselves that are kind of indicators of, hey, this is something that we probably can't help with. And so knowing that up front and saving that precious time is real important.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at the commercial lines maybe first, is there's some things that are very specific, very niche, very just difficult maybe to write. And there's a specialty for that with certain people. And if you're going to devote the time and energy to find the right markets and the coverages and things like that, then by all means, go for that.
Yeah.
But most people just say, I just want to do this one because the guy called me. Or this one because this lady, you know, I saw her at church or something of that nature. It's like, man, at what point are you doing things that you shouldn't be doing? And I think in commercial lines, we do see it a lot just because of industries. And you pick on that, whether it's truckers or limo drivers or taxi
agriculture.
Cabs. Yeah. Right. It's, you know, it's just too difficult to do a one-off.
Yeah.
Now, if you really want to go in, go for it.
Well, and to your point, when you're doing it on the one-off basis, right? You know, one, the likelihood of you doing it correctly is smaller. Let's not say it's slim to none, but it's smaller. But then you're more than likely not going to have the access that you need to the right markets because they're looking for somebody who's an expert at it that's going to do it more than just one time.
Absolutely.
So you're already, I don't want to say going to a substandard product, right? But you're going to something where you're kind of piecemealing it together, and then ultimately, you know, not good at it, not the greatest product, right? And you're really just kind of quoting and praying. So what value are you bringing the client?
Yeah, you're not. And what detriment are you doing yourself? Because you say that is, what kind of E&O exposure are you opening up by doing something you don't know how to do?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think we see commercial lines is probably where it happens the most, I would say, because the other side I see a lot in the commercial line side, it's that extremely niche piece, or they come across somebody who doesn't have insurance right now. They're an existing business, they're operating in the marketplace, and they go, hey, I need insurance. But I think one thing everybody needs to realize, or a good food for thought, is if you've got an existing business that's not currently covered, they're not buying insurance.
No, that's right.
You know, I mean, they if they were, they would have it already.
That's right.
And so people spend time trying to write something that they're never going to bind a policy.
That person chose not to have insurance for a reason before they called you.
Yes. I think also commercially, again, not so much personal lines, but commercially, the quoting midterm, right? Unless there's been a drastic change within the business, they're more than likely not moving that business midterm.
No, it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of your time. You can put together all the apps, all those things, take it to market, and they're not going to move the policy.
Right.
And so it's better to develop that relationship to quote come renewal versus 6 months in.
Yeah, and I think this is where, I want to kind of echo what you're saying, but doesn't mean don't work it.
Right.
It means don't go quote it
Right.
now. Is midterm means you can certainly work it and do all the right things to earn that piece of business when it comes time for expiration. But there's no need to quote it now, get told no, and be like, okay, well, now I'm just going to quote it again. Like that, you didn't do anything there.
Well, and I think it goes back to your sales funnel and managing your time appropriately and your ROI for the work you're putting in, right? You can manage that relationship and create more time for quoting people that can write business today while still developing and growing that relationship to have that opportunity at renewal, to your point.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other side to it, and this can be both personal and commercial. And commercial, in my opinion, brings a little unique piece too. But when you start looking at the coverages that your client's requesting, right? If they're going on the minimum limits, if they're only purchasing coverage for that certificate of insurance, things like that, I think those are all indicators of, hey, how invested are they in the actual purchase of insurance,
right,
and how long-term of a client are you going to have? Because I see that all the time where, people write a policy and 90 days later, 6 months later, they're getting that charge back because it's canceled. They've gotten what they need already.
Yeah, there's agencies that are built for that.
Yeah.
There's some great agencies out there that do fees for writing policies, fees for payments, all that sort of thing. They understand that market and they understand how to make money on that market and how to help that client in the time of need. But then there's others that shouldn't write it. They don't know how to write it. And it just causes a lot of chaos in their agency.
It doesn't fit their buying style that they've created or their agency style.
Yeah. I think as we help people here, they really need to understand their time.
Yeah.
Understand where they're going with their agency or where they're going with their book of business specifically. And they need to realize that just things that come in the door, things that call you or you meet them at church again, it's not necessarily right for your agency.
Right.
And they're going into it with the mind that I'm going to help you, but that really doesn't work out maybe for them or with you.
Yeah.
And, my biggest thing, I believe I said it before, is, tell people it's the opportunity cost.
Yeah.
If you're doing something, you can't do something else at the same time.
Right.
And so you're doing something that doesn't help you or help them. You're not doing what you should be doing by going out there picking the clients that you want to have and want to call on to go after them.
We did that podcast on the Agency Foundation program, and I sit there and I go back to what we want to do with our members is help them create a repeatable process. And I'm a football fan, so it's your playbook, right? I think this is a great example of when you're sitting there looking at prospects or potential accounts to quote, where do they fit in your playbook? Do they fit that playbook? Can you give them the same process that you would give your ideal client on a daily basis? And if they don't fit that model, be willing to walk away, be willing to say no, and pass them to an agency that's better suited to help them. And in that scenario, you're doing right by the client, you're doing right by yourself. You're going to see more success long-term as a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the key is just understand when to walk away and when to move forward.
Hey, listen, as a producer, I know it's tough.
That's right. Well, good.
All right, man. Well,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, always good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
We'll knock another one out here soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Travis.
See ya. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch our Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, or send us your topic recommendations at podcast@siaofnc.com. To learn more about what we do, visit us online at www.siaofnc.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.